The billionaire's daughter was born blind, living in a world of darkness that no amount of money could illuminate, until the nanny showed her something no one expected, that seeing isn't about eyes at all, but about feeling the world with your heart. Lily didn't know that the gentle hands braiding her hair each morning belonged to the woman who would teach her father how to see again too. Two broken souls and one little girl caught between darkness and light, about to discover that sometimes the most precious things in life can't be bought, they can only be felt. Before we dive into this story of unexpected healing and second chances, tell me in the comments where you're listening from. We love seeing how far stories about hope and transformation reach. And if you believe that sometimes the most valuable lessons come from the most unexpected teachers, don't forget to like and subscribe. Now let me take you back to where it all began. 6 months earlier, Sebastian Blackwood had been doing what he always did, throwing money at problems. Hiring the best specialists from London, New York, Geneva, consultations that cost more than most people earned in a year, experimental treatments, cutting-edge technology, everything his Fortune 500 company and his 7-figure bank account could buy. But Lily remained trapped in darkness. And Sebastian remained trapped in guilt. The house on Belmont Hill had 23 rooms, floor-to-ceiling windows that framed the city like a painting, and the kind of silence that only exists in places where people are too afraid to live. Lily spent her days in a powder-pink bedroom, decorated for a child who could see, princess wallpaper she'd never admire, a canopy bed draped in tulle she'd never appreciate, toys with colors that meant nothing to her small, reaching hands. She sat perfectly still most days, waiting. For what, Sebastian didn't know. Maybe for someone to tell her that life was worth living even in the dark. Until the day a woman in a worn peacoat showed up for the nanny position, 40 minutes late, because the bus had broken down, carrying nothing but a canvas bag and eyes that somehow saw straight through his expensive armor. Elena Morrison didn't know she was walking into a war zone, a battlefield where love had surrendered to fear, where a father and daughter existed in the same house but lived in different worlds, where a 6-year-old girl had stopped asking questions because no one had good answers. She didn't know that everything was about to change, not because of money, not because of medicine, but because sometimes the most profound healing happens when someone finally teaches you how to feel. The rain came down in sheets that Tuesday afternoon, turning Belmont Hill into a watercolor painting where all the edges blurred. Elena Morrison stood outside the iron gates of the Blackwood estate, her peacoat soaked through, her canvas bag clutched against her chest like a shield, watching water cascade down stone walls that probably cost more than her entire apartment building. She was 40 minutes late. The bus had broken down on Commonwealth Avenue, and she'd run the last 6 blocks, her second-hand boots splashing through puddles that soaked through to her socks. Her phone had died 3 stops ago, so she couldn't even call to explain. This job interview was already over before it started. But she pressed the buzzer anyway. Because she needed this. Because her twins needed new winter coats. Because the electricity bill was 2 weeks overdue, and the landlord had started leaving notes under her door. The intercom crackled. Yes? A woman's voice, clipped and professional. I'm Elena Morrison. I'm here for the nanny position. I know I'm late. I'm so sorry. The bus... Mrs. Thornhill will meet you at the door. The gates swung open with a mechanical hum that probably cost more than Elena made in a month. She walked up the curved driveway, her wet boots squeaking against imported stone, past sculpted hedges and a fountain that looked like it belonged in a European palace. The house loomed ahead, all glass and steel and sharp angles, the kind of architecture that won awards and made visitors feel small. The front door opened before she could knock. Mrs. Thornhill was exactly what Elena expected. 60-something steel-grey hair pulled into a severe bun, a cardigan that probably had its own trust fund. Her eyes traveled from Elena's dripping hair to her scuffed boots, and something like disappointment flickered across her face. You're late. I know, I'm sorry, the bus... Mr. Blackwood is a very busy man. He doesn't have time for unreliability. Elena felt something tighten in her chest, the familiar shame of being poor in a rich world, of explanations that sounded like excuses, of doors closing before you even got through them. I understand, she said quietly. I won't take up any more of your time. She turned to leave. Wait. The voice came from inside the house, deep, measured, the kind of voice used to being obeyed. Sebastian Blackwood appeared in the doorway, and Elena's breath caught despite herself. He was tall, well over 6 feet, with dark hair that had just enough grey at the temples to make him look distinguished rather than old. sharp jawline, broad shoulders, filling out a tailored shirt that probably cost what she paid in rent. But it was his eyes that stopped her, grey like storm clouds. Storm, tired, haunted. "You ran here," he said, not a question. Elena blinked. Yes. The bus broke down, and I didn't want to be more late than I already was, so You ran 6 blocks in the rain to get here on time." "I ran 6 blocks in the rain to try not to be as late," she corrected softly. Something flickered in those grey eyes. Not quite a smile, but close. "Mrs. Thornhill, show Miss Morrison to the library. Get her some tea. I'll be there in 5 minutes." Mrs. Thornhill's lips pressed into a thin line, but she nodded. "Of course, Mr. Blackwood." Eleanor followed the older woman through a foyer that could have fit her entire apartment, past art that probably belonged in museums, into a library with floor-to-ceiling shelves and leather furniture that smelled like old money. Mrs. Thornhill left without a word. Elena stood in the center of the room, dripping onto Persian rugs, wondering what she was doing here. She'd worked with wealthy families before, but nothing like this. This wasn't just rich. This was generational wealth, old money, the kind of people who existed in a different world entirely. The door opened. Sebastian entered, carrying 2 towels and a change of clothes. "The bathroom is through there," he said, gesturing to a door she hadn't noticed. "Dry off. Change. The clothes are my sister's. She keeps things here. They should fit." Elena stared at him. "You don't have to. You're soaked. I'm not conducting an interview with someone who's shivering." It wasn't kindness in his voice exactly, just practicality. But Elena took the towels anyway, because her teeth were starting to chatter, and pride didn't keep you warm. When she emerged 10 minutes later, dry and wearing clothes that were probably worth more than her entire wardrobe, Sebastian was sitting in one of the leather chairs, a file folder open on his lap. "Sit," he said. She sat. He studied the papers in front of him. Elena Morrison, 29. Bachelor's degree in special education from Boston University. 3 years teaching at Riverside Academy until... He paused, looked up. "You were terminated." Eleanor's stomach dropped. "I was let go because I reported a teacher for neglecting a student with special needs. The school sided with the teacher. She'd been there 15 years, I'd been there 3. And you didn't fight it? I couldn't afford a lawyer, and I was pregnant, with twins, and alone." She said it matter-of-factly, without self-pity, because self-pity didn't pay bills. Sebastian's expression didn't change, but something shifted in his eyes. "You've been working as a freelance nanny since then. 3 families, good references. I can provide contact information. I've already called them. They spoke highly of you." He closed the folder. "But none of those children had special needs. My daughter does." "Your daughter is blind. Cortical visual impairment. Her eyes are fine. It's the part of her brain that processes visual information that didn't develop properly. Incurable. Permanent." He said it clinically, like he was reading from a medical textbook rather than talking about his child. Eleanor leaned forward slightly. "How old is she?" 6. "What does she like?" Sebastian blinked. "What? What does Lily like? What makes her happy? What does she do for fun?" He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. She listens to audiobooks. She has a collection of textured toys. He stopped, frowned. "She doesn't really express preferences. Or no one's asked her in a way she can answer," Elena said gently. Sebastian's jaw tightened. "I've given her everything. The best therapists, the best equipment, a team of specialists. That's not what I asked." The silence stretched between them, taut as a wire. Finally, Sebastian stood. "Would you like to meet her?" Elena's heart skipped. "Yes." They walked through hallways lined with art, past rooms that looked like they'd never been used, up a curved staircase with an iron railing that probably weighed more than a car. The house was beautiful, but it felt empty, like a museum after hours. Sebastian stopped outside a door painted powder pink. "She doesn't like unexpected sounds or sudden movements. Approach slowly, speak before you touch her." He opened the door. The room beyond was exactly what Elena expected, decorated for a child who could see. Disney princesses on the walls. A canopy bed draped in pink tulle. Shelves of toys arranged by color in a rainbow that meant nothing to the little girl sitting perfectly still on the floor. Lily Blackwood was small for 6, delicate, with light brown hair pulled into a neat ponytail and eyes that were blue-gray and unfocused. She wore a pink dress with white tights and sat with her hands folded in her lap, her back straight like she was waiting for something. Or maybe like she'd learned that moving invited consequences. Sebastian started to speak, but Elena held up a hand, softly. Not commanding, just asking for a moment. She stepped into the room, slowly like Sebastian instructed, but didn't approach the child. Instead, she sat down on the floor about 6 feet away, far enough not to intrude, close enough to be felt. "Hello," Elena said quietly. "My name is Elena. I'm sitting on your floor right now near the bookshelf with the stuffed animals. I'm wearing a blue sweater that feels soft, like rabbit fur, and I'm a little nervous because I'm meeting you for the first time, and I want you to like me." Lily's head turned slightly, just a degree or two, toward Elena's voice. "I don't know if you want me here," Elena continued. "Sometimes people come into our space when we don't ask them to, and that can feel uncomfortable. So if you want me to leave, you can tell me. I'll listen." Lily's lips parted. Her voice came out small, uncertain. "You sound sad, like me." Elena felt her throat tighten. "I am a little sad sometimes. I have 2 little boys at home, and sometimes I worry I'm not doing enough for them. Does that make sense?" Lily nodded. Once, precise. "Do you feel sad sometimes too?" Another nod. "Can I ask why?" For a long moment Lily said nothing. Then, so quietly Elena almost missed it. "Because I can't see, and Daddy doesn't know how to talk to me. And I think maybe I'm broken." Behind them, Sebastian made a sound. Small, wounded. Elena kept her voice steady. "You're not broken, Lily. You just experience the world differently than some people. That doesn't make you less, it just makes you you. Everyone says that, but they don't mean it." "You're right," Elena said. "A lot of people don't mean it, but I do. Because I spent 3 years working with kids who experience the world differently, and you know what I learned?" "What?" "That they saw things the rest of us missed, because seeing isn't just about eyes. It's about understanding, feeling, knowing, and you can do all of those things." Lily turned her head fully toward Elena now. "Really? Really? Can you show me? I'd like to try, if you'll let me." Lily was quiet for a long moment. Then she stood, carefully, precisely, like every movement was choreographed, and walked toward Elena's voice. Her hands reached out tentative and found Elena's shoulder, then her face, tracing the features carefully, learning through touch what eyes couldn't tell her. "You're warm," Lily whispered. "So are you." And then Lily did something that made Sebastian's breath catch in the doorway. She leaned forward and rested her head against Elena's shoulder, the first voluntary touch she'd initiated in months. Elena wrapped her arms around the little girl gently, carefully, and met Sebastian's eyes across the room. His face was unreadable, but his hands were clenched at his sides, and Elena could see the war happening behind those storm-grey eyes. This wasn't just about hiring a nanny. This was about learning to let someone in. "When can you start?" Sebastian asked, his voice rougher than before. Elena smiled. "Tomorrow, if that works for Lily." Lily pulled back just enough to turn toward her father's voice. "She can stay, Daddy. She understands." Sebastian nodded once, sharp, controlled. "Tomorrow then, 6 a.m. Mrs. Thornhill will have the contract ready." He turned and left before anyone could see the way his hands were shaking. Elena held Lily a moment longer, feeling the little girl's heartbeat against her chest, and thought, this family isn't just broken, they're drowning, and somehow she just agreed to dive in after them. Helena arrived at 6 a.m. the next morning, carrying her canvas bag and a thermos of coffee she'd made at 4:30, because her twins had woken up crying, and she couldn't get back to sleep anyway. Mrs. Thornhill met her at the door with a contract 3 pages long, and a pen that probably cost more than Elena's weekly grocery budget. "Read it carefully. Sign at the bottom. Mr. Blackwood is already at the office." Of course he was. Elena skimmed the contract. Standard nanny agreement, generous salary that made her eyes widen, non-disclosure clause about the family's private matters, and signed her name in the careful script her mother had taught her. "Lily is still sleeping," Mrs. Thornhill said, leading Elena through the house. "She wakes at 7. Breakfast is at 7:30. Her routine is very specific. Deviation causes distress." Elena followed her up the stairs, listening to the list of rules. Don't move furniture without warning. Don't introduce new foods without preparation. Don't raise your voice. Don't make sudden sounds. Don't. By the time they reached Lily's door, Elena understood something fundamental. This house wasn't helping Lily live. It was teaching her to hide. "I'll take it from here," Elena said gently. Mrs. Thornhill's eyebrows rose. "I usually wake her. I know. But that's my job now. Thank you, Mrs. Thornhill." The older woman's lips pressed thin, but she left. Elena stood outside Lily's door for a moment, gathering herself. Then she knocked, 3 soft taps, and opened it slowly. The room was dark, curtains drawn against the morning sun that Lily couldn't see anyway. Elena could make out the small shape in the canopy bed, barely a bump under expensive sheets. She crossed the room quietly and sat on the edge of the bed. "Good morning, Lily. It's Elena. I'm here like I promised." A small stirring, then Lily's voice thick with sleep. "You came back." "Of course I came back. I said I would." Lily sat up slowly, her unfocused eyes pointing somewhere over Elena's shoulder. Her hair was mussed from sleep, and she wore pajamas with cartoon characters she'd never seen. "Mrs. Thornhill usually wakes me." "I know, but I'm here now. Is that okay?" A pause, then a small nod. "Good. Now, I have a question for you. Do you always wake up in the dark?" "The curtains are supposed to stay closed, in case the sun hurts my eyes." "But the sun doesn't hurt your eyes, does it?" "No, but Daddy says—" "Can I tell you something?" Elena reached out slowly, letting Lily hear the movement, and placed her hand where Lily could find it. Small fingers wrapped around hers immediately. "The sun doesn't just make light, it makes warmth, and warmth is something you can feel. Would you like to feel it?" Lily hesitated. "I'm not supposed to—" "I'll be right here. If you don't like it, we'll close them again, I promise." Another pause. Then, "Okay." Elena walked to the windows and pulled back the heavy curtains. Morning light flooded the room, golden and clean, painting everything in shades Lily would never see but could still experience. She turned to find Lily sitting frozen in bed, her face turned toward the window, eyes closed, a look of wonder spreading across her features. "It's warm," Lily whispered. "It is. That's the sun saying good morning. I forgot it felt like this." Eleanor's heart cracked a little. How long had this child been living in manufactured darkness? How long had fear masquerading as protection kept her from something as simple as sunlight? "Want to know something else the sun does?" Elena sat back on the bed. "It makes shadows, and shadows are cool. Temperature cool, I mean. So if you put your hand in the sunlight, then move it to the shadow, you can feel the difference. Want to try?" For the next 20 minutes, Elena guided Lily's hands through the morning light, teaching her the geography of warmth and coolness, of bright and dim, of the world that existed beyond what eyes could show. When Mrs. Thornhill knocked to announce breakfast, she found them both sitting on the floor in a patch of sunlight, Lily laughing, actually laughing, as she tried to catch the warm spots with her palms. The housekeeper's expression was unreadable. "Breakfast is ready. We'll be right down," Elena said. Then to Lily, "What if instead of someone bringing your breakfast you helped me make it? Have you ever made pancakes?" Lily's smile faded. I can't see the stove." "No, but you can feel when the pan is hot. You can smell when the butter melts. You can hear when the batter sizzles. Cooking is more about those things than seeing anyway." "Really? Really? Come on." Mrs. Thornhill looked scandalized when Eleanor led Lily into the kitchen, the professional chef's kitchen that probably had rules about who could use it, but Eleanor smiled politely and started pulling out bowls and ingredients. "Miss Morrison, I don't think—" "It's fine, Mrs. Thornhill. Just pancakes. We'll clean up after." She guided Lily's hands to the bowl, let her feel the flour's softness, the egg's smooth shells, the milk's coolness, talked her through each step, describing not what things looked like but how they felt, smelled, sounded. Lily cracked her first egg, got shell in the batter, laughed instead of crying. By the time Sebastian came home that evening, earlier than usual, Elena noted, he found his daughter and her new nanny in the kitchen, covered in flour, cleaning up the remains of what looked like a pancake explosion. "What happened here?" His voice carried that controlled tone Elena was starting to recognize, the one that meant he was fighting something bigger underneath. "We made pancakes," Lily announced, turning toward his voice with flour in her hair and joy on her face. "I broke 5 eggs, Daddy. 5. And only 2 had shells in them." Sebastian looked at Eleanor. Eleanor looked back, chin raised, waiting for judgment. Instead, he surprised her. "Did you save me any?" Lily's face lit up. "Eleanor made extra. We put them in the special warming drawer. Then I guess I should try them." He sat at the kitchen island, probably the first time he'd sat there in years, and ate slightly lumpy, unevenly cooked pancakes, while his daughter chattered about flour and eggs, and how butter smells like popcorn when it melts. When Lily excused herself to wash her hands, Sebastian caught Elena's wrist gently. "She hasn't talked like this I can't remember when. She just needed someone to listen to what she was actually saying instead of what you were afraid she meant." He released her wrist, but his eyes stayed on hers. "Thank you. I haven't done anything yet." "Yes, he said quietly. You have. The first week passed in small revolutions. Elena removed the decorative pillows from Lily's bed. They just take up space and you can't feel them anyway. And replaced them with textured blankets, silk and fleece, and something that felt like rabbit fur. She took down the princess posters and put up textured wall hangings that Lily could explore with her hands. She replaced color-coded toys with instruments, small drums, bells, a rain stick that made sounds like water falling. Mrs. Thornhill watched everything with tight-lipped disapproval. But Lily bloomed. She started requesting things, small things at first. Can we have pancakes again? Can we sit in the sunlight? Then, bigger things. Can we go outside? That was where Sebastian drew the line. Absolutely not. He stood in his home office, still wearing his suit from work, looking at Elena like she'd suggested setting the house on fire. She could fall, hit her head, get disoriented. She's 6 years old, Sebastian. She needs to be outside. She needs fresh air and grass under her feet and wind in her hair. She needs to be a child. She's not like other children. She's exactly like other children. She just can't see. That doesn't make her fragile. You're making her fragile by treating her like she's made of glass. His jaw clenched. You've been here 1 week. Don't presume to tell me how to protect my daughter. I'm not telling you how to protect her. I'm telling you you're suffocating her. There's a difference. They stared at each other across his mahogany desk, battle lines drawn, until a small voice from the doorway broke the tension. I want to go outside. They both turned. Lily stood in the hallway, her hand trailing along the wall, her chin lifted in a way Elena recognized. Determination, fighting fear. Sweetheart, Sebastian started. I want to feel the grass, Daddy. Please. I promise I'll be careful. Elena will be with me. Please. Sebastian looked at his daughter, then at Elena, then back at his daughter. The war on his face was painful to watch. Finally, 30 minutes, in the backyard. Elena doesn't leave your side. Lily's smile could have powered the city. The garden was extensive, manicured, and completely wasted on a family that never used it. Elena led Lily slowly down the stone path, describing each step, each change in texture under their feet. When they reached the lawn, Elena stopped. Okay, the grass is right in front of you. About 6 inches, big step down, I've got your hand. Lily took the step. Her foot sank into soft grass. She froze. It's okay, Elena murmured. Just grass. Cool. A little wet from the sprinklers this morning. Soft. Lily took another step, then another. Then she let go of Elena's hand. I'm right here, Elena said quickly. You can reach me, but you're doing great. Lily walked 3 steps alone, then 5. Then she dropped to her knees and ran her hands through the grass, feeling the blades slip between her fingers. A sound escaped her. Half laugh, half sob. It's alive, she whispered. I can feel it living. Elena blinked back tears. It is. Everything out here is alive. They spent an hour in that garden, though Sebastian had said 30 minutes. Elena brought Lily to trees, letting her feel rough bark and smooth leaves, to flower beds where roses grew, teaching her to find petals without touching thorns, to the fountain where water played, showing her how sound helped map space. When they finally went inside, Lily's dress had grass stains, and her hair was tangled, and her face was flushed with exercise and joy. Sebastian was waiting in the foyer. He opened his mouth to speak, then stopped, because Lily walked past him without hesitation, found the stairs through memory and sound, and climbed them without touching the railing. She's never done that before, he said quietly. Because she's never been allowed to practice, Elena replied. You can't learn to navigate the world from a pink bedroom, Sebastian, no matter how safe you make it. He looked at her for a long moment. Then, same time tomorrow? It wasn't surrender, but it was close. By the 3rd week, Lily was eating meals at the table instead of in her room, helping prepare food, asking to go outside every day. Sebastian started coming home earlier, drawn by something he couldn't quite name, the sound of his daughter laughing, the smell of cooking that wasn't from a chef, the feeling of life returning to a house that had become a mausoleum. Dinners became routine. Lily insisted Elena stay. Sebastian didn't object. They fell into careful conversation, the 3 of them, navigating around the big things by focusing on small ones. Lily's progress, the weather, safe topics. Until the night Lily went to bed early, tired from a long day outside, and Sebastian poured Elena a glass of wine she didn't ask for, but accepted anyway. You have children, he said. Not a question. Twin boys, 4 years old, Noah and Ethan. Where are they now? With my neighbor, Mrs. Chen. She watches them during the day. I pay her what I can. She feeds them dinner. I pick them up around 8, put them to bed, sleep for 5 hours, and start over. Sebastian's expression darkened. That's why you look exhausted. I'm not exhausted. I'm a single mother. There's a difference. Where's their father? Gone? He left when I told him I was pregnant. Said he wasn't ready to be a dad. I haven't heard from him since. I'm sorry. Don't be. His loss, not mine. My boys are extraordinary. Sebastian studied her over the rim of his glass. Why did you take this job? You could have found something with better hours. Something closer to home. Elena met his eyes. Because when I met Lily, I saw a little girl who thought she was broken. And I know what that feels like. To think you're less than everyone else because of something you can't control. I wanted to show her she was wrong. And have you? Ask her. I'm asking you. Elena set down her glass. She's not broken, Sebastian. But this house is. You've built her a cage and called it protection. You've given her everything except what she actually needs. Which is? A father who isn't afraid to touch her. The silence that followed was sharp enough to cut. I touch her, Sebastian said finally. No, you hover near her. You watch her through monitors. You hire people to care for her. But you don't hold her. You don't sit with her. You don't... Elena stopped. Softened her voice. You don't let yourself love her. That's not fair. It's true, and I think I know why. Sebastian's hands tightened on his glass. Don't. You blame yourself for her mother's death. I said don't. And you think if you love Lily too much, you'll lose her too. So you keep her at arm's length and call it protection. Stop. Sebastian stood abruptly, his chair scraping against marble. You don't know anything about me, about what I've lost, about what I live with every single day. You're right. I don't. But I know what Lily lives with. Her father who provides everything except himself. They stared at each other across the kitchen island, breathing hard, the air between them electric with things unsaid. I need you to leave, Sebastian said quietly. Elena stood. Of course, I'm sorry. I overstepped. She gathered her things and headed for the door, but Sebastian's voice stopped her in the foyer. Elena. She turned. He stood in the kitchen doorway, backlit by warm light, looking more vulnerable than she'd ever seen him. You're right, he said. About all of it. I am afraid. I have been for 6 years, and I don't know how to stop. Elena's throat tightened. You start by showing up, really showing up, not as the CEO or the provider or the man who has all the answers, just as her dad. What if I don't know how? Then you learn, the same way she's learning. One small step at a time. Something shifted in his expression, something that made Elena's pulse quicken in a way that had nothing to do with Lily, and everything to do with the man standing 10 feet away, looking at her like she was water, and he was dying of thirst. Thank you, he said quietly, for caring about her, for seeing her. She makes it easy, and for pushing me, even when I don't want to hear it. Elena smiled. That's what I'm here for. But they both knew it was becoming something more than that. The next morning, Elena arrived to find Sebastian still home, in jeans, and a sweater, looking almost human instead of like a corporate photograph. I called in, he said, reading her surprise. Thought maybe I could help with Lily today, if that's okay. Elena felt something warm bloom in her chest. I think she'd love that. They spent the day together, the three of them in the garden. Sebastian watched at first, awkward and uncertain, as Elena taught Lily to identify plants by touch and smell. Then, slowly, he joined in. His voice when he spoke to Lily was different, softer, less controlled, more real. When Lily found a smooth stone and announced it was the most perfect stone ever, Sebastian got down on his knees next to her and examined it with the solemnity of a jeweler appraising a diamond. It is perfect, he agreed. Should we start a collection? Lily's face lit up. Really? We can keep them. Of course, we'll find a special box. Put it in your room. Will you help me look for more? Sebastian glanced at Elena. She nodded encouragement. I'd love to, he said. They spent the next hour hunting for stones. And somewhere in that garden, among the roses and grass and afternoon light, Sebastian Blackwood learned to be a father instead of a provider. Elena watched them together, Lily's small hand in Sebastian's larger one, both of them on their knees in the dirt, completely absorbed in the hunt for perfect stones, and felt her heart do something dangerous. She was falling for this family, not just Lily, not just the little girl who needed someone to see her, but the man who was learning to see himself. That night after Lily was in bed, Sebastian found Elena in the library where she was packing her bag. She asked me to read to her, he said, standing in the doorway. She's never asked me that before. She usually wants audiobooks. What did you say? I read to her, a whole chapter. She fell asleep holding my hand. His voice cracked on the last word. Elena crossed the room and did something she'd been wanting to do for weeks. She reached out and squeezed his arm gently. You're doing great, Sebastian, you really are. He looked down at her hand on his arm. When he raised his eyes to hers, the expression in them made her breath catch. I couldn't have done any of this without you. Yes, you could have. You just needed someone to show you it was possible. Elena, whatever he was going to say was interrupted by a sound from upstairs. A small cry. Lily. They both moved instantly, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Lily was sitting up in bed, tears streaming down her face, her hands reaching out into the darkness. Hey, sweetheart, what's wrong? Elena was there first, gathering the little girl into her arms. I had a bad dream. You were gone. Both of you were gone. And I was alone again. Sebastian sat on the other side of the bed, his hand finding Lily's back. We're not going anywhere, baby, I promise. But Miss Elena will leave. Eventually. When I'm better. That's what nannies do. They leave. Elena felt like she'd been punched. Because Lily was right. This was a job. A temporary position. Eventually she would leave. But the thought of it now, of walking away from this little girl, from this house, from this family, felt impossible. I'm not going anywhere yet, Elena said carefully. Not for a long time. Okay? Promise? Elena met Sebastian's eyes over Lily's head, saw the same fear there, the same realization they'd all gotten attached. I promise, Elena whispered, hoping it was a promise she could keep. They stayed until Lily fell asleep again, each of them holding one of her hands, the 3 of them connected in the darkness. When they finally left the room, Sebastian caught Elena's wrist in the hallway. She's right, you know. This won't last forever. I know, but I don't want it to end. Elena's heart hammered. Sebastian, I know this is complicated. I know I'm your employer. I know there are rules, but I need you to know... He stopped, started again. These last few weeks, you've given me back my daughter, and somehow, you've given me back myself. And I don't know what to do with that except say thank you and ask you to stay for as long as you can. Elena should have stepped back, should have maintained professional distance, should have remembered she was the nanny and he was the billionaire, and this was a job, not a life. Instead, she said, I'll stay, and knew she meant it in ways that had nothing to do with paychecks and contracts. Everything was about to get complicated, but first, there was Lily, and for now, that was enough. Catherine Blackwood arrived on a Tuesday morning without warning, the way hurricanes appear on radar too late to board up the windows. Eleanor was in the music room with Lily, who had discovered the white piano 3 weeks ago and now spent hours each day coaxing music from its keys. The child had a gift, an almost supernatural ability to hear a melody once and replicate it perfectly, her small fingers finding notes with the certainty of someone who could see. Again, Miss Elena, play it again. Eleanor smiled and played the simple folk tune one more time, watching Lily's face light up as she listened, her head tilted, absorbing every note. The front door opened with enough force to echo through the house. Sebastian, a woman's voice, cultured, sharp, used to being heard. Sebastian, where are you? Lily's hands froze over the keys. Her whole body went rigid. Who's that? She whispered. I don't know, sweetheart. Stay here. I'll check. But before Elena could move, heels clicked across marble, and a woman appeared in the doorway. Catherine Blackwood was 60-something but looked 50, with iron-grey hair styled in a perfect bob, a Chanel suit that probably cost more than Elena's car, and eyes like chips of ice. She looked at Elena the way someone might look at a stain on expensive upholstery. Who are you? Eleanor stood, placing herself between Catherine and Lily. I'm Elena Morrison, Lily's nanny, and you are? Catherine Blackwood, Sebastian's mother, Lily's grandmother. She stepped further into the room, her gaze sweeping over the piano, the scattered sheet music, Lily's hands still frozen over the keys. What is going on here? We're having a music lesson. Lily doesn't play piano. Actually, Lily said quietly, I do now. Catherine's attention snapped to her granddaughter. Something flickered across her face, surprise maybe or confusion, but it hardened quickly into disapproval. Play something then. It wasn't a request. Lily's hands trembled. Eleanor started to intervene, but Lily spoke first. What would you like to hear, grandmother? The piece your mother used to play, the Debussy. The room went cold. Elena knew the story. Sebastian's wife, Charlotte, had been a concert pianist. The white piano had been hers. After she died, it had been covered, locked away, forbidden, until Elena uncovered it. "I don't know that one yet," Lily said. "I've only been learning for 3 weeks." 3 weeks? Catherine's eyes cut to Elena. "And I suppose that was your idea?" "Lily discovered the piano herself. I'm just helping her explore her talent." "Talent?" Catherine laughed, but there was no humor in it. "My granddaughter is blind, Miss Morrison. She doesn't need piano lessons. She needs structure, routine, protection. She needs to be a child," Elena said evenly. "Don't presume to tell me what my granddaughter needs. You're the help." The word landed like a slap. Elena felt her face burn, but she kept her voice steady. "I'm Lily's nanny, and right now, Lily and I have a lesson to finish. If you'd like to speak with Mr. Blackwood about my methods, he should be home around 6. Catherine's smile was razor-thin. "Oh, I intend to speak with my son, very thoroughly." She turned and left, heels clicking away like gunshots. Lily's hands were still shaking. "Is she going to make you leave?" Elena returned to the piano bench and wrapped an arm around the little girl. "No one's making me leave, sweetheart. I promise." But the promise felt thinner than before. Sebastian came home early, which meant Catherine had already gotten to him. Elena heard their voices from the study, his measured and controlled, hers sharp and insistent. She kept Lily occupied in the garden, but her stomach churned with dread. When Mrs. Thornhill finally came to collect Lily for dinner, Elena knew what was coming. Sebastian appeared in the garden doorway. "Can we talk?" They walked to the far corner of the property, beyond where Lily could hear, and stopped by the fountain where water played over stone. "My mother has concerns," Sebastian said. "I gathered. She thinks you're overstepping, pushing Lily too hard, taking risks with her safety." Elena turned to face him. "Do you think that?" "I think—" He stopped, ran a hand through his hair. "I think my mother loved Charlotte, and seeing Lily at that piano playing music, growing confident, it reminds her of what she lost. This isn't about what your mother lost, Sebastian. It's about what Lily's gaining. I know that. But my mother is very persuasive, and she's raising questions about your background, about why you were really fired from your previous position, about whether I did sufficient due diligence. Are you questioning whether you can trust me?" Elena's voice went quiet, dangerous. "No, but she is, and she wants me to hire someone else, someone with more traditional credentials, someone from an agency she recommends, someone she can control, you mean?" Sebastian's jaw tightened. "That's not fair, isn't it? Your mother shows up unannounced, meets me for 5 minutes, and suddenly everything we've built with Lily is under review. She's my mother, Elena. And she's worried about Lily's safety. No, she's worried about losing control. There's a difference." They stared at each other, the fountain's water the only sound between them. "I need to think about this," Sebastian said finally. "Give me a few days." Elena felt something crack inside her chest. "You're actually considering this, after everything, after watching Lily transform, after she started trusting again, laughing again, living again. You're going to let your mother undo all of that because she doesn't like that I'm not from her world." "That's not what I said. It's what you meant." Elena turned to walk away, but Sebastian caught her arm. "Elena, please, I just need time to..." "To what?" "Choose between me and your mother, between what's comfortable and what's right." She pulled free. "You know what, Sebastian? Take all the time you need. But while you're thinking, remember that Lily finally has a life, finally feels like she matters, and ask yourself if it's worth destroying that, just to keep the peace." She walked back to the house without looking back. The next morning, Catherine was waiting in the kitchen when Elena arrived. "We need to talk, woman to woman." Elena set down her bag. "I'm listening. My son is vulnerable right now. He's been alone for 2 years, raising a disabled child, drowning in guilt. And you." Catherine's eyes raked over Elena's clearance rack dress, her worn shoes. "You see an opportunity. You think I'm after his money. I think you're a single mother with 2 children and multiple jobs who just landed in a gold mine. And I think you're smart enough to make yourself indispensable. The question is whether you're also shameless enough to use a blind child to do it." Elena's hands clenched. "I love Lily. Everything I've done has been for her." "Love?" Catherine laughed. "You've known her for 2 months. That's not love, that's ambition wearing a mask. You're wrong." "Am I? Then prove it. If you really care about Lily, you'll leave before this gets messier, before she gets more attached, before my son makes a mistake that ruins both their lives. The only mistake would be listening to you, Catherine's expression hardened. I've already spoken with Sebastian. I've made my position clear, and I've reminded him that Lily needs stability, not some temporary caretaker who'll disappear the moment a better offer comes along. I'm not going anywhere. We'll see. That afternoon, Sebastian came home while Lily was napping. He found Elena in the library, packing up the Braille books they'd been using. We need to talk. Elena didn't turn around. Your mother already covered it. I'm an opportunist. I'm using Lily. I should leave before I do more damage. Elena, is that what you believe? No, but your mother is very persuasive. Elena finally looked at him. So what's it going to be, Sebastian? Are you going to trust what you've seen with your own eyes these past 2 months? Or are you going to let her convince you that I'm some kind of threat? It's not that simple. It is exactly that simple. Either you believe in what we're doing here, or you don't. Sebastian's phone buzzed. He glanced at it. I have to take this. It's Tokyo. Can we finish this later? Sure. Later. He left. Elena stood alone in the library, surrounded by the evidence of Lily's progress, drawings she'd made with textured markers, Braille stories she was learning to read, sheet music with notes she was beginning to master, and felt the walls closing in. The breaking point came 3 days later. Elena had taken Lily to the small park at the end of the property, the one area Sebastian had finally approved after weeks of Elena proving it was safe. They were on the grass, Lily feeling the texture of different leaves, when Elena heard footsteps. A woman approached, perfectly styled, expensive athleisure, the kind of person who hired personal trainers and called it self-care. Excuse me, are you the nanny? Elena stood, positioning herself near Lily. Can I help you? I'm Margaret Wells. Sebastian Blackwood is my dear friend. She's very concerned about this little girl's welfare. The woman's eyes fixed on Lily, who had a smudge of dirt on her cheek and grass stains on her dress. Is it true she's blind? And you've brought her out here alone? I'm hardly alone, and Lily is perfectly safe. I see. Margaret pulled out her phone. Well, I'd hate for anything to happen. Catherine asked me to document for insurance purposes, you understand, any situations that might be considered risky. She took a photo. Elena felt ice flood her veins. You need to leave. This is private property. The park is technically public easement. Catherine had her lawyers check. Another photo, this one of Lily reaching for a branch. Such a shame, really. A disabled child in such a vulnerable position. She's not vulnerable. She's learning. But Margaret was already walking away, phone in hand, photos taken, mission accomplished. Eleanor's hands shook as she helped Lily gather their things. Miss Eleanor? What's wrong? Nothing, sweetheart. Let's go inside. But Lily's fingers found Elena's face, tracing the tension there. You're scared. Just tired. You're lying. Your voice gets tight when you lie. Elena closed her eyes. I'm worried, baby. Your grandmother doesn't think I should be taking care of you. But you're the best at taking care of me. Better than anyone. I know, but sometimes adults make things complicated. I don't want you to leave. I don't want to leave either. When they got back to the house, Sebastian was waiting. His face was carved from stone. My mother just sent me photos of Lily in the park. Apparently she had a friend document unsafe conditions. Eleanor felt the trap spring shut. It wasn't unsafe. Lily was right next to me the entire time. We were on grass, away from any hazards. She scraped her knee. She tripped over a root. It happens, children fall. She's not just any child, Elena. She's blind. She needs extra protection. She needs to live. Elena's voice cracked. She needs to learn and grow, and yes, sometimes that means she gets a scraped knee. That's part of being alive, Sebastian. And if something worse happens, if she really gets hurt, then we handle it, like any parent would. But you can't bubble wrap her forever. I can damn well try. His voice rose, 2 months of fear and control breaking through. You don't understand. You can't understand. Charlotte died bringing her into this world. Lily is all I have left. If something happens to her, then you'll blame yourself. Just like you blame yourself for Charlotte. Just like you blame yourself for Lily's blindness, even though it's not your fault. You're so busy feeling guilty that you've forgotten how to actually be present. Don't psychoanalyze me. Someone needs to, because you're about to throw away the best thing that's happened to you and Lily in years, just because your mother doesn't approve, and you're too scared to stand up to her. The silence that followed was deafening. Sebastian's voice, when it came, was cold. I think it's best if you take a few days off, while I figure out what's best for my family. Eleanor felt the world tilt. You're suspending me. I'm giving us both space to think clearly. Sebastian, please, don't do this. What Lily needs is for me to make decisions based on her safety, not on—" He stopped himself. "Not on what?" Eleanor's voice was barely a whisper. He didn't answer. "Say it, Sebastian. Not on what? Our feelings. The fact that we've both been pretending this is just professional when we know it stopped being professional weeks ago. Elena, no, you want space? Fine. You've got it." She grabbed her bag, hands shaking. But when Lily stops eating again, when she stops playing piano, when she goes back to sitting alone in that pink room waiting for a life that never comes, remember that you chose this. You chose fear over trust, control over connection, your mother's approval over your daughter's happiness. She walked toward the door, then stopped. "And for the record, I wasn't using Lily to get to you. I was falling in love with both of you. That was my mistake, thinking that maybe you were brave enough to let yourself be loved again." She left before he could respond. The door closed behind her with a finality that echoed through the empty house. Upstairs, pressed against the wall at the top of the stairs, Lily sat with tears streaming down her face, having heard everything. She stood on shaking legs and felt her way to her room, to the piano that Elena had helped her discover, and placed her hands on the keys. But no music came. For the first time in weeks, the house was silent again, and this time the silence felt like drowning. Elena didn't cry until she got home. She paid Mrs. Chen for watching the twins, scooped Noah and Ethan into her arms, and held them until they squirmed free, laughing, asking why Mommy was squeezing so tight. She made them dinner, mac and cheese from a box, the only thing in the cupboard, and watched them eat while her own stomach churned with loss. After they were asleep, she sat on her second-hand couch in her tiny apartment and let herself break, not because of the job. Jobs came and went, but because somewhere in the last 2 months, Lily had stopped being a client and become her child, and Sebastian had stopped being her employer and become— what? She didn't even know. Something she'd been too afraid to name until she'd lost it. Her phone buzzed. A text from Mrs. Thornhill. "Lily won't eat, won't come out of her room. Mr. Blackwood asked if you have suggestions." Eleanor's fingers hovered over the keyboard. She wanted to say, "Tell him to be her father. Tell him to sit with her. Tell him to stop hiring people to fix what only love can heal." Instead she typed, "She's grieving. Give her time, and don't force her to talk. Just be present." 3 dots appeared, disappeared, appeared again. "He's trying, but she keeps asking for you." Elena closed her eyes against fresh tears. "I can't come back. He made that clear. I know. I'm sorry." The text stopped. Eleanor curled up on her couch and stared at the ceiling, wondering how you were supposed to stop loving people just because it was inconvenient. 3 days passed like walking through fog. Eleanor picked up extra shifts at the restaurant where she waitressed weekends, smiled at customers, refilled coffee, pretended her heart wasn't shattered. On the 4th day, her phone rang. Unknown number. "Hello? Miss Elena?" The voice was small, familiar, impossible. "Lily, sweetheart, how are you calling me? I memorized your number. From when you wrote it in my special notebook, in Braille in case of emergencies." A shaky breath. "This is an emergency." Elena's heart clenched. "What's wrong? Are you hurt?" "No, but Daddy is. Not his body, his heart. Like mine." Lily's voice cracked. "He won't talk to me. He works all the time. He doesn't come to my room anymore, and the house is quiet again like before you came. Oh, baby. I tried playing piano. I thought maybe the music would make him remember, but he walked past the music room without stopping, like the sound hurt him." Eleanor pressed her palm to her chest, trying to hold herself together. "Lily, I'm so sorry, but your dad, he made a decision, and I have to respect that." "But it's the wrong decision." For the first time, anger crept into Lily's voice. "You made us better, both of us. And now he's scared again, and I'm alone again, and I hate it. You're not alone, you have your dad. I don't. I have someone who gives me things and hires people, and stays in his office until I'm asleep. That's not a dad. That's a— She searched for the word. "A ghost." Elena's throat burned. "What do you want me to do, sweetheart? Come back, please. Tell him you forgive him. Tell him we can be a family. You and your boys and me and Daddy. Tell him you're not going to leave." "Lily, please, Miss Elena. I don't care about the scraped knee. I don't care if grandmother says mean things. I just want you back. I want us back." Eleanor closed her eyes. "Let me talk to your dad, okay? But I can't promise anything." "Okay." A pause. "Miss Eleanor, I love you." The tears came then, fast and hot. "I love you too, baby. So much." The line went dead. Elena sat holding her phone, staring at the wall, and made a decision. She showed up at the Blackwood estate the next morning at 6 a.m. before Sebastian left for work. Mrs. Thornhill looked surprised, but stepped aside. He's in his study. Elena found him there, still wearing yesterday's shirt, papers scattered across his desk, looking like he hadn't slept in days. He looked up when she entered. The expression on his face, relief, regret, longing, nearly undid her. Elena, I'm not here to beg for my job back. I'm here because Lily called me, because she's falling apart, because you're falling apart, and because someone needs to tell you that you're throwing away the best thing that ever happened to you. Sebastian stood slowly. I know. Do you? Because from where I'm standing, you pushed me away the minute things got complicated, the minute your mother applied pressure, the minute you had to choose between control and connection. I was trying to protect Lily. You were trying to protect yourself. Elena's voice rose. You've been doing it for 6 years, using Lily's safety as an excuse to keep everyone at arm's length, including her, especially her. That's not true, isn't it? When was the last time you sat with her, really sat with her? Not to supervise or check up or make sure she's following the routine, but just to be her father. Sebastian's jaw worked. I don't know how. Yes, you do. You learned. I watched you learn. You were doing it. And then you got scared. My mother said, your mother is wrong. Elena crossed the room until she was standing in front of his desk, looking him in the eyes. She loved your wife. I understand that. But she's using that love to control you, to keep you frozen in grief, to prevent you from moving forward. Charlotte is gone, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm sorry you lost her. I'm sorry Lily will never know her, but Sebastian, you can't spend the rest of your life apologizing to a ghost. He flinched like she'd struck him. You think I don't know that? His voice came out raw. You think I don't see what I'm doing? I watch Lily sit in that room, and I know I'm failing her. I watch you walk away, and I know I'm making the wrong choice. But every time I try to move forward, every time I let myself feel something, I remember Charlotte dying in that hospital bed, and His voice broke. I can't survive losing someone else, so you push them away first. Yes. He said it like a confession. Yes. Elena felt her anger soften into something else, something that hurt worse. Sebastian, I can't force you to let me in. I can't force you to choose your daughter over your mother. I can't force you to stop punishing yourself for something that wasn't your fault. Then why are you here? Because Lily asked me to come, and because... She stopped, started again. Because I'm in love with you, and I'm in love with her. And I thought maybe if you heard that, it might be enough to make you fight for this. For us. The silence stretched between them like a chasm. Sebastian came around the desk slowly, stopped in front of her, close enough that she could see the shadows under his eyes, the stubble on his jaw, the war being waged behind his expression. I don't deserve you. That's not your decision to make. I fired you, chose my mother over you, hurt Lily, and now you need to fix it, not by apologizing to me, by showing up for her, by being the father she needs instead of the protector you think she wants. What if I fail? Then you fail, and you get up and try again. That's what parents do, Sebastian. We don't get it right every time. We just keep showing up. He reached out slowly, his hand hovering near her face, asking permission. She didn't pull away. His fingers touched her cheek, gentle as breath. If I do this, if I choose you, choose us, my mother will never accept it. I know. She'll make things difficult. I don't care. Elena, you need to understand. She has influence, connections. She could make your life. Let her try. Elena caught his hand, held it against her face. I grew up poor, Sebastian. I raised twins alone while working 3 jobs. I lost a career I loved because I did the right thing. Your mother doesn't scare me. Losing you and Lily? That terrifies me, but your mother, she's just a woman who forgot that love matters more than control. Something in Sebastian's face cracked open. How are you so brave? I'm not. I'm terrified. But I love your daughter, and I love you. And I think you love me too. So I'm here asking you to be brave enough to say it. He pulled her closer, his forehead touching hers. I'm in love with you. I have been since you sat on Lily's floor and told her she wasn't broken, since you challenged me, since you showed me what it looks like to really live instead of just survive. Then prove it. Eleanor's voice was barely a whisper. Not with words, with actions. Show Lily that her father is brave enough to choose love. And you? Will you come back? Not as the nanny. Not as someone you hire to fix your problems. If I come back, it's as family, me and my boys. Messy and complicated and real. Sebastian smiled. A real smile. the first she'd seen in days. "My house is about to get very loud. Can you handle that?" "I don't know, but I want to find out." He kissed her then, soft and careful, like he was learning something new. When they pulled apart, Elena saw the man she'd been falling in love with, not the CEO, not the controlled billionaire, but Sebastian, just Sebastian. "She's in her room," he said quietly. "Will you come with me?" They found Lily sitting at her piano, hands on the keys but not playing. She turned toward the sound of the door. "Daddy, I'm here, sweetheart, and I brought someone." "Miss Eleanor?" Lily's voice cracked with hope. "I'm here too, baby." Lily stood so fast she knocked over the bench, ran toward them, arms outstretched, stumbling slightly but not caring. Sebastian caught her, swept her up, and Elena wrapped her arms around both of them. "I'm sorry," Sebastian whispered into Lily's hair. "I'm so sorry I pushed her away. I'm sorry I've been hiding. I'm sorry I forgot how to be your dad. It's okay." Lily's small hands found his face, tracing the features she knew by heart. "You're here now. That's what matters. Miss Eleanor and I have something to ask you." Lily pulled back, turning her face toward Eleanor's voice. "What?" Elena knelt down to Lily's level. "How would you feel about having two little brothers? They're 4 years old. Very loud, kind of messy, but really, really sweet." Lily's expression transformed. "The twins? Noah and Ethan? They'd live here? If that's okay with you. And you'd stay? Forever." Sebastian knelt down too, forming a circle. "That's what I'm hoping. If she'll have us. Both of us." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a ring, simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the light. "This was my grandmother's. My father gave it to her after 50 years of marriage. It's the only thing in my family that was about love instead of legacy." He took Elena's hand. "Elena Morrison, will you marry me? Will you bring your boys and join our mess? Will you teach me how to be brave?" Elena was crying now, couldn't stop, didn't want to. "Yes, yes to all of it." Lily squealed, an actual squeal of joy, and threw her arms around both of them. "We're going to be a family, a real family." The moment was interrupted by the sound of heels on marble. Catherine Blackwood stood in the doorway, her expression carved from ice. "Sebastian, what is the meaning of this?" Sebastian stood, pulling Eleanor up with him, his hand never leaving hers. "Mother, Eleanor and I are getting married. She and her sons are moving in. This is happening whether you approve or not." Catherine's face went white. "You can't be serious. This woman is completely inappropriate. She has no breeding, no background. She has a heart. She has courage. She loves my daughter, and I love her. That's all that matters. You're making a mistake. Think of Charlotte. Think of what she would want." "Charlotte would want me to be happy." Sebastian's voice was firm. "She would want Lily to have a mother. She would want this house to be full of life again. And she would be glad I found someone brave enough to love us, despite all our broken pieces." Catherine looked between them, her composure cracking. "If you do this, I won't support it. I won't pretend to approve." "Then don't." Sebastian stepped forward, Lily's hand in his. "I love you, Mother, you. But I'm not asking your permission. I'm telling you how it is. You can be part of this family or you can stand outside of it. But either way, we're moving forward." Lily pulled free from her father's hand and walked toward her grandmother with the careful steps Elena had taught her. She stopped just in front of Catherine, her small face turned upward. "Grandmother, Miss Elena taught me that being blind doesn't make me broken. It just makes me different, and different is okay." Her voice was steady, clear. "If you can't love Miss Elena, that's sad, because she's the best person I know. And if you can't be happy for Daddy, that's sad too, because he's finally not sad anymore." She reached out and found Catherine's hand. "I want you to stay. I want you to be part of our family, but not if you're going to be mean, because families are supposed to love each other, even when it's hard." Catherine stared down at her granddaughter, this child who had been silent and afraid, now standing tall and speaking truth, and something in her face shifted. "You've changed," she whispered. "I grew up a little." Miss Elena helped. Catherine's eyes moved to Elena, reassessing, perhaps seeing for the first time the woman who had transformed her granddaughter. "You really love her." "So much," Lily said simply. The older woman drew a shaky breath. Then, carefully, she knelt down, designer suit and all, and met Lily's unseeing gaze. "Then perhaps I need to learn too." She looked up at Sebastian and Eleanor. "I was wrong about many things. I was so focused on protecting the past that I couldn't see the future." "Mother, let me finish." Catherine stood, brushing off her knees with dignity. I loved Charlotte. Losing her broke something in me, and I think I tried to keep Lily small, to keep her safe, because I couldn't bear to lose anyone else. She swallowed hard, but I was wrong, and I'm sorry. Sebastian's jaw worked. Does this mean... It means I'll try. I can't promise I won't interfere. I can't promise it won't be difficult, but I can promise to try. She looked at Elena, for Lily's sake, if nothing else. Elena stepped forward, Lily's hand in hers. That's all we're asking. A chance. Catherine nodded stiffly. Then, surprising everyone, she held out her hand. Eleanor took it. Welcome to the family, Miss Morrison. Eleanor, just Eleanor. Eleanor, then. It wasn't forgiveness. Not yet. But it was a beginning. 6 months later, the music room was full of people. Noah and Ethan chased each other around furniture, while Mrs. Thornhill tried desperately to keep them from breaking anything expensive. Catherine sat stiffly in a chair, but her lips twitched with suppressed amusement as she watched the chaos. Sebastian stood near the piano, his arm around Elena's waist, watching his daughter prepare for her recital. Lily sat at the white piano, wearing a blue dress she'd chosen because Elena said it matched her eyes. Her hands hovered over the keys, not nervous exactly, but focused. Ready, sweetheart? Sebastian asked. Almost. Lily turned toward the gathered crowd, small, just family and a few friends. Before I play, I want to say something. Of course, Elena encouraged. 6 months ago I thought I was broken. I thought being blind meant being less. I thought I'd never have a real family or do anything special. Her voice strengthened. But Miss Elena, Mama Elena now, she taught me something. She taught me that seeing isn't about eyes. It's about feeling, understanding, knowing. She found the keys. This is the Debussy piece my first mother used to play. I learned it for her, to show her I remember even though I never saw her, and I'm playing it for everyone here who helped me learn that different isn't less. It's just different. She began to play. The music filled the room, complex and beautiful, each note perfect, not because Lily had memorized it mechanically, but because she understood it, felt it, made it her own. When she finished, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. Sebastian was openly crying. Elena held him, crying too. Catherine pressed a handkerchief to her face. Pride and grief mingled together. Even Noah and Ethan sat still, awed by their big sister's gift. Lily turned toward the silence. Did I do okay? Sebastian crossed to her, pulled her into his arms. You were perfect, more than perfect. Your mother would be proud, Catherine added softly. Lily smiled. Both of them would. That night, after the recital, after the twins were in bed in their new room, after Catherine had left with a stiff hug for everyone, Elena found Sebastian on the terrace overlooking the garden. Big day, she said, sliding under his arm. Biggest. He kissed her temple. Thank you. For what? For showing me how to see, really see. Not with my eyes, but with my heart. Eleanor smiled. You taught me something too. What's that? That sometimes the most broken things, when you put them back together, become the most beautiful. He pulled her closer. Inside, they could hear Lily playing the piano again, a simple melody this time, while Noah and Ethan sang along off-key. It was messy. It was loud. It was imperfect. It was family. Get in, Sebastian had said months ago, pulling up next to her in the rain after she'd tried to leave for good. Let me take you home. And she had. Not to a house, but to a family. Not because it was easy, but because some things are worth fighting for. Some things are worth believing in, even when you can't see them clearly. Some things you just have to feel. And love was the easiest thing to feel of all. Sometimes the most profound transformations happen not when we gain new sight, but when we finally learn to see what was there all along. Lily didn't need eyes to see that love isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, even when you're scared. Sebastian didn't need vision to understand that protecting someone doesn't mean keeping them safe from life, but teaching them to navigate it with courage. And Elena? She learned that family isn't defined by blood or circumstance, but by the people who choose to stay when things get hard. This is a story about a little girl who taught her father that being blind to the world doesn't mean you can't see into hearts. About a woman who proved that sometimes the most valuable things we offer can't be bought with any amount of money. And about a man who discovered that the greatest risk isn't opening your heart, it's keeping it closed. If this story touched you, if it reminded you that courage often looks like vulnerability and that love sees what eyes cannot, we'd be honored if you'd like and subscribe to Soul Thread Stories. We're building a community of people who believe that broken things when pieced back together with love, become even more beautiful than before. Share this story with someone who needs to remember that they're not broken, just different. And that different is exactly enough. Thank you for being part of our Soul Thread Stories family. Your presence here, listening to these tales of hope and healing, reminds us why we keep telling them. Until next time, may you see with your heart what your eyes might miss.